So just how tall is Joe Rogan? Joe is a 51-year-old American of many talents. He's an actor, a stand-up comedian, a TV host, a taekwondo expert, has a very popular podcast and is also an interviewer with the UFC. But exactly what height does Joe claim? On his Twitter in 2015 he said, "I'm short, but not that short, 5'8". In 2016 he said he weighed 190 pounds and stayed firm on that height claim.
How tall are you?
5'8".
He also once took a pot shot at those who doubted his height, saying, "And for all you assholes that say I'm 5'2", we tested me too."
I'm 5'8" and a hair.
But does Joe actually look the height he claims? Sometimes he can. For instance, he interviewed the 5'10" Mike Tyson, and surprisingly, he looked about 5'8". He also met up with Alex Jones, and again, he looks about 5'8" there. Actually, Jones once claimed to be 6 foot and shrank to 5'10". Maybe Jones should start taking some more of those super male vitality pills. Also here with Amy Schumer, who claims to be 5'7", Joe's looking mightily happy and 5'8". Now if you believe Dan Bilzerian is the 5'9.5" he claims, then Joe's got to be 5'8", surely. With some UFC fighters though, Joe does struggle to look taller than 5'7". Daniel Cormier admitted he was 5'11" in tall shoes. Joe by comparison looks about 5'8" in massive shoes. Brock Lesnar's made many a man look tiny. Joe is no exception. Whenever Joe stood beside Brock, he looks about 5'6" to 7". Remember, when Joe interviews fighters in the cage, not only are they going to be at their lowest height, having just been knocking lumps out of each other, they're also barefoot too, whilst Joe is in shoes. Here with Chris Cyborg, who's not far off 5'8", in shoes, Joe doesn't look any taller than her. In fact, barefoot, I doubt he's over 5'7". With the legendary Conor McGregor, again, in shoes, Joe doesn't look any taller than Conor and sometimes even shorter. With Holly Holm, who claimed 5'8", if Joe was really 5'9" in shoes, surely he should be looking an inch taller than Holly, not barely the same height. The one time Joe did get in the ring, well okay, it was a TV show, was with the 155-pound weakling Andy Dick. Andy might look like the wind could blow him over, but in terms of height, he's about 4 inches taller than Joe. But Andy's not a 6-footer. When he was arrested, the police described him as 5'10", and also in a 2001 New York Times article, again, his height was described as 5'10". Here's another crushing blow to Joe's 5'8" in a whisker height claim. Comedian Bill Burr has claimed to be 5'10" and almost 5'10". Now Joe is forcing his posture there, and he still barely looks like he'd scrape 5'7". The real knockout blow to Joe's height claim comes from Henry Rollins. Now Henry once said, "Huge? I'm 5'9" inches. The supermodels I date are taller than I am." Well, Joe in comparison looks so far off his height claim that it's not even funny. He's about 5'6" there at most. So what did the public think of Joe's height? On celebheights.com, they're not banging his height claim either. From 105 votes, they think he's in the 5'6.5" range. Overall, I do think Joe is somewhere between 5'6.5" and 7, but not 5'8".